Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the CGL broadcast. I am Tiny Shiny, joined by So of Danim, to bring you the Console NA Diamond Mid-Season Finals. Wow, that is a mouthful, but it certainly does describe this matchup that we planned for you today.
Oh yeah, it's been a long slog from getting past these 4 weeks and that initial run, but we've got Bingus and the Outlawed Barons coming in here, and you know we were kind of looking a little bit at these teams beforehand. Bingus, quite the big squad. I know that team has been around here a while, but 9 players deep, almost a whole 2 teams of their own. But we were kind of talking about Outlawed Barons being the participants in Ramatra Rumble and doing very well there. So both of these teams no strangers to this kind of pressure and level. So I expect to see a pretty high quality play, even if you might think Diamond's not.
Yeah, it's to be expected. Diamond's often the middle child of esports. You don't like it too much. It just kind of exists. There's a lot of players in that rank, but you're just right on the edge of what seems to be the greatest thing ever. But you get there eventually. With team play, it looks much more different in Diamond than you would in your typical ranked game. So it can add many more layers of depth as we get ready to get into this. So while we do, let's go ahead and take a peek at our rosters for this evening, see which players will be bringing us out, starting with Bingus.
We've got Bingus, we've got Akari, Splice, Atomic Man, Shadow, and Rose. Shout out to Rose, who has done a little bit of work in the booth here for us too, and Splice, noted team captain for Bingus here. I know I will be keeping an eye on both of them, given that they are in 2 pretty important spots, that kind of flex support slot and the kind of DPS, possibly carry spot in that order. But let's check the other side, Tiny. Who do we got on the other side for the Outlaws?
The Outlawed Barons, from a pretty notable organization that we've seen kind of around this time. Some of them in particular I've actually played with myself, both of those which being Twinkie and King Kip. I play on a team currently with King Kip, an amazing player overall. I see them mostly on the tank, but seeing them on the support today will certainly be a treat. Twinkie as well, on the DPS, has just been a highlight through the past few seasons, a rather familiar face in the Diamond CGL scene. So both of these rosters have been in CGL for quite some time. And it's only fitting that they're here in one of the higher matchups that we've seen in the mid-season. There's not... With the way that we are in the mid-season, this isn't like the grand finals. There's nothing crazy on the line here. Just a couple of extra points that will really help you in your placement in the playoffs as we actually full of months and still have every map win here is going to count.
Yeah, exactly as you say. Every map win counts. Even getting to here matters in the future. But speaking of maps, we've got round 1 is going to be Nepal. Not everybody's favorite, but it is one of the favored modes in this map, and it is kind of the odd child out in a lot of these. This is usually the one where if someone is going to take a win and go 1-3 on a loss, this is usually the one they'll win. And given that we're going to Nepal, this is kind of an odd change of pace, and the changes that had just come through prior to recent stuff really do kind of indicate that this is going to be quite a varied map. Now that the backlines have kind of balanced out and everything's really, for the most part, playable, a lot of things aren't off the table here. Ball is still very strong. If you're playing well enough as a team, you can still run a lot of rush. So Nepal is going to be a great litmus test to see what is coming down the line for this, because it is going to also be loser's pick at that point. So getting the advantage on this map will help you down the line as well. Then it'll give you not just the chance to win and kind of get yourself ahead, but you'll also then be able to say, okay, let's look at what they brought, let's prepare for that, and then let's go into that.
Yeah, and Nepal is one of those maps that you can often see compositions that they can be reminiscent later on, but starting out here already on Sanctum, pretty traditional for what we're used to on Nepal.
It is. Ooh, stats. For everybody who hasn't seen it, yeah, this is what the new one looks like. We get stats to talk about also. But these 2 comps do look pretty similar to what they do. Very brawly comps. Twinkie and the over on the Junkrat and the Sim, though, is going to be huge. And Outlawed Barons are here to fight aggressively quick.
Oh, immediately, look at that. Twinkie already gets a bomb onto the Lucio player of the Outlawed Barons. And Cookie Man wanted to go much farther to push that advantage, but you lose it. Your main tank, little tricky to try to hold on to that, but it looks like as the point is going to start to get unlocked, the Outlawed Barons, they're still just kind of sitting there. Bingus are available to contest. The Orisa wants to, and they're low. Lord Avocado going down. That opens the door much wider, but Twinkie is still putting in that work on the Junkrat. At this point, the Reinhardt's return. So the Outlawed Barons certainly are in a good spot to try to hold on to this. Corey's forced to take a much more passive approach than you would have liked on the Reaper. But that's where this actual contention will come in. The Arinsa will get exploded into a bunch of scrap metal. And Twinkie already at this Riptire as the Outlawed Barons are locking this point down.
Yeah, the Bingus really needed to kind of take that moment where the Reinhardt fell and capitalize on that. Once the Rein was down, this comp really lost the majority of its frontline shielding. Considering how close the Barons need to play together, it's going to require a lot more of this poke damage. You can see it Splice moving over to the Echo on that. There's 2 ults up for the Barons, and they have plenty of tools in their favor. They just need to continue to find value with it, and Twinkie's Riptire is going to be the thing I'm looking at to do so.
So much pick potential with these ultimates and even defensive capability, but Splicey just take out Twinkie, and Twinkie goes down here. That's the Riptire gone. A major win condition disappeared. But the King of Fire, though, does have this Ant Matrix over on the left side of the objective, but once again, Cookie Man will overextend. Outlawed Barons down 2. Bingus are going to push themselves back up. What was such a winnable fight. They had the tools, Soab, and Bingus just were way ahead.
Yeah, just unfortunately kind of caught out of position there on Twinkie. Maybe just got a little confident trying to play for the sneaky tire and instead was punished for it. It's a great fight for Bingus to have taken, though, and now they are in the driver's seat. They have both support ultimates up plus this Death Blossom. That alone is just plenty to hold this down. They just need to kind of wear through the onslaught of the Outlawed Barons ultimates in the way and get through it all first.
Love to see some of that initiation, but we know where Twinkie's going. Splice certainly does, has eyes on him. Here goes the guy right in the back, barely gets that Riptire off. But getting Splice down is something, so the Reinhardt is now free to charge in at the will. Outlawed Barons taking this one back, just needed the positioning for the Riptire. They wanted to use it last fight, they have it now. Wanting to turn this around, but that pesky Lucio is just going to give them so many issues. The amount of stall time you get, only the Reinhardt and Junkrat to shoot out you, huge amount of percentage.
I mean, that is a lot, and given that the Outlawed Barons won it basically with the tire and not really committing anything else, it was good on them to do it. Bingus now, though, with 4 in their hands, wisely holding on to most of those ultimates. The economy is just in their favor. There should be some combination of this to, even in a longer fight, should outwin this. There's nothing else that the Outlawed Barons will come into. They'll have to wear through the sound barrier first to do it, but this looks entirely winnable for Bingus.
It looks entirely literal, but it's all up to that execution. Are they able to get those ultimates off as the fight commences? And they're going to have to do it with the Photon Barrier in their way. Sound Barrier to keep the Orisa alive through that rush. Looking for that Symmetra. Gets so low. Eventually finished off. Tonic Command, though, incredibly low on health. Has to wait to continue to push that advantage forwards. At the Symmetra isn't there to burn them down. Outlawed Barons, they're giving up a little bit of space, allowing the objective to likely be flipped back over. Losing their Ana is going to be difficult to recover from. And all right, we'll see Cookie Man on the other side of the map because Bingus looking to lock this one back up and a nice percentage.
They will keep that at 91. So last fight coming in here. And the only thing really worth noting is that King of Fire is holding onto the Nano. So I love this aggression out of Bingus. They're pushing this so far into this. Looks like Atomic Man really, I guess they got stun locked there, and that's a go button for Outlawed Barons. They have Nano up. This is a win. This is a win right here.
They might not even need the Nano with Shadow going down too. Cookie Man can just rush forward to that Reinhardt progression they seem to love and clean this one up quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this Deathball comp was very, very strong from the start. You might look at it and hate it, but this is what true Rush Deathball comps look like. The ball is back. I don't think there's going to be time for this, though.
Oh, yeah, that's an Earth Shatter laid down. An early pick onto Shadow. It's not a great start for Bingus to try to recontest. You have Atomic Man on the Wrecking Ball coming back to stall, but the pieces are just crumbling for Bingus. Outlawed Barons came back with this Deathball comp, a clear strength of theirs that we're likely going to see later on in this match as they have locked down the first objective of Shrine.
Yeah, look, you may not like the Junkrat Symmetra play, but it works, right? Like, just the numbers they put out on the damage, and I'll shout those out once we get it back, but those numbers from that damage were just it's just so bursty. It's so spammy, and with the Reinhardt shield to buy them the angles to do so, it's just so big. You can see it there in the corner there. Both the Junkrat and the Symmetra sitting at about 3,000 damage is so huge. And again, such a huge pick to win the play out of this. Just great awareness and control of the space out of Bingus to kind of really surround and control this Outlawed Barons comp. Yeah, it's a death ball. You can't play into it, but if you can get around it and pick it apart through Crossfire, that is absolutely a win condition. They just need to kind of execute a little bit better, because right now the Barons just have a little bit more damage and a little bit more spam control is going on. They're just kind of able to control these center points and really force the issue of you have to play to us, you have to, and they have no reason to change it here. Bingus is going to make those changes. They'll bring in the Reinhardt and they'll bring in their own death ball comp here, playing a little bit closer. I think Splice holding out onto Oxide. Is Splice going to go back to that? Like, is Splice going to go back to the Sojourn would be my question. I think the answer is yeah. And I don't hate it. It does give you an easy one-way crossfire and a lot of space control out of her utility. So Splice, I'm expecting to be a bit of a difference maker here as long as they are going contested.
Splice is going to have to be the one to make the difference, because Outlawed Barons, they got themselves locked down in the point. With that symmetric junk, it's so easy for them to just sit back. I mean, Cookie Man, of course, going to charge as they always do. It seems like that button doesn't even have a cooldown with this guy. But Splice is doing their job as well, continuing to poke off that high ground. That's the difference the Sojourn can make if they continue to follow it up. Not having a tank means that Outlawed Barons are going to get this first capture, but Bingus, they're just going to continue to poke meanwhile.
Yeah, but it's still hard to approach on this. Those sim turrets and the Junkrat spam are so tough to fight into.
They're trying their best to hold this out. I mean, Rose going down here, that's probably a definite reset. Bingus, they're not going to take this with the just a Lucio as a support. They're still kind of hanging around, though. Eventually, we'll back off.
I don't think, I think they kind of made the call finally, and I think that was the right call. Akari is ahead in the Riptire race right now, and that is huge. They just need to kind of build the rest of it, and they can continue to do that as long as they sit back and poke at this. They just need to find a couple picks and then enter when they feel they have the advantage.
And that's the most vulnerable part about this point, is that you can just shove these spam damage right back in, and there's a trade out, but will the Lucio pick matter more in the late run? It does seem like it's going to be so, not having that support on the field. Another pin in a Cookie Man puts them incredibly low, but it gives Splice the room to work without the Reinhardt shield in the way. The main portion of the turrets going around Splice. Nice rotation, but Cookie Man pins him against the wall. And the amount of charge kills we've seen from this guy is absolutely ridiculous. Outlawed Barons, they're going to hold on.
They will hold on, and with half of it in the way, that's a late trap, huge. They'll hold out, and the kind of thing that was nice for them is they didn't really commit anything to it. They will have 2 ultimates. They'll have both those DPS. I mean, one's basically a support ultimate at this point, but they have both going into it, plus Sound Barrier. A lot of defensive tools for the Barons to hold, so there are 4 ultimates, but I don't know that it's going to get value given what's there.
You have to
I say that.
Yeah, you're saying that. They just had to prove you're wrong, so Akari and Splice coming up big with 1 apiece. It's a nice start. Got to close it out. Atomic Man just has to run away from Cookie. Has been the bane of their existence this whole map, but Bingus are going to clean this one up by the looks of it and at least get some percentage here on Village.
That's at least something. Again, we're in the last fight territory, though, and be that as it may, now Bingus has this quite a mountain to climb. They have 3 ultimates to do so, though, so they have a few of the tools in hand, but a Twinkie, again, we've seen them get value with this, and they clearly know how to play Junkrat.
And they do the trap out, so that's the Immortality field. Using Rose very early. Earthshatter lay down on top of it, but everything seems to be falling apart. The Outlawed Barons, they're trading this one out, but it is so scrappy. Akari so low, Twinkie just the better Junkrat in this scenario. The rotation back from point is there. Outlaws, they've managed to lock this one back in their favor in one fight, and it doesn't even seem like there's anybody here to contest.
There probably won't be a contest. Anybody that might get here would be the, well, not the Lucio. It's probably going to be Atomic Man in this ball, and that'll be the end of that. Yep, there goes that. Replay ended there, and that tells me that, well, it did go the way of Outlawed Barons. So with that in mind, it's hard to say much more than Outlawed Barons just had the better rush comp. In considering we hit 2 points where the rush comp plays very well together, a good death ball will maintain that presence and will be really, really difficult to break. That said, I'm going to expect them to keep that up. Like, Outlawed Barons looked very good. They played well as a team, and they were able to enable the DPS to get some value from it all. But going into these future points, I expect more of that same. You'll see it, like, the one time Twinkie ends up alone without the rest of the team. You can see the rest of the team in the Immortality field there. Absolutely the only one outside, not covered, gets punished for it. But, like, you can see it. Like, Twinkie absolutely just going long on the Junkrat, getting that back flank. This is a team that understands how to play the comp they want to, and I expect to see this carry over. So Bingus with their map pick coming up will be, I expect them to basically kind of look to break this up in some way. I expect them to take maps where high ground matter, and I expect them to look into something that forces them off of it. It's clearly comfortable, and that's kind of unfortunately not likely to be a win going into that. So I really do think that for Bingus's counter pick, it has to be something that forces a high ground.
Sometimes with map picks, we're thinking like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It can be just more of a comfort pick. But when a composition like this one just looks so strong for one team, you have to make the decision to go to this map. But you know so well.
Come on.
Well, that's certainly not what we were expecting. With what we just witnessed. But it's hybrid. It's losers pick. Do we really expect anything else than Kings Row?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, if we have a choice of anything on hybrid, we know this community is going to immediately pick Kings Row anyways. I just don't know. I'm not sold that this was a smart decision. Like, you just kind of shown that the rush comp can beat you. You've struggled. Maybe you need a game to warm up. Sure, I'll give you that. Like, that is not off the lead if you're that. But we've kind of seen how the Outlaws just kind of looked better, unfortunately, on that comp. Unless you have some sort of a long-range hit scan poke comp that is going to force them out of the comfort zone, I don't know what this is here. I don't know why we did this. I need to see gameplay to really like not fry my brain on this.
The only thing that I could think of that makes this Kings Row pick seem viable, I mean, yes, it is a comfort pick of the community, but when Bingus first rolled out on Nepal, they did run a similar rush style. Okay. They wanted to play Crows, right? They wanted to play this Orisa, that Reaper, that Brawl. And Kings Row, that's the place you're going to want to do it, but considering you just lost, you have a lot to prove here on this map.
You do. It looks like we have had a couple of swaps come in. Lemon has come in to play the Widowmaker and probably something else here, so that change has occurred. Scorpy also coming in off the bench for Bingus, and I believe Master Bacon is a new tank? No. Master Bacon's a new tank, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that is the new tank. So a couple of changes off of Bingus, and we kind of noted Bingus's deep roster. So I assume this is like a Rhine specialist. I have to assume as much, as opposed to like a flex tank. I expect good things out of this Rhine battle because there are two different ways that they're being supported here, and given what we saw out of Outlawed, I expect they just look the better Brawl team.
Outlaws, they've looked stronger, and them being on the attack means they're going to be the ones to set the pace really quick. The fact that they have an Ana on their side is going to be really hard for Master Bacon to go through, because look how low they are just as a result of that anti-nade. You force out these cooldowns very early. Outlawed Barons, they're at an advantage just in that regard. All they need to do is wait for that speed cooldown to come back up, and they can go in, but they got to be careful. Lemon almost loses their life for a very risky positioning choice. It's just a lot of this poke battle, which we're not used to seeing too much in these Brawl comps.
Yeah, we haven't seen two Rhine swinging at each other yet in the last 20 seconds, so this is very interesting. That said, ultimates are coming online, and Bingus is leading, so a little bit more damage, and they'll be good to defend here. They just kind of need to make sure they solidify a pick to keep this defense alive, because they're giving up space. They just need to have something to show for it.
They're giving up the high ground. Look at this. They're rotating back around. They're playing ring around the rosy here. This is a fun game. They're just, no team wants to get close to each other, but I'm sorry, guys. That's how this composition works. Somebody's got to get in there and start swinging some hammers around. I know very well that Cookie wants to do it, the pin master. Eventually, they'll get on the point. In goes the pin, but Scorpy wrapping around the high ground is such a great flank to have. Already close to this tack. Visor has it up, loses their life for it, but Bingus, they've set themselves up with a nice couple of eliminations. And it doesn't say they've lost a couple themselves. The defense needs to hold themselves pretty strongly here. Master Bacon getting that pick likely is going to solidify it.
Making those changes coming in the Winton will be there, but more importantly, there is a Nano plus Rails on. I don't know that that's enough on its own. They're pushing this issue though, Tiny. I'm not sure that this is the good timing for it.
Yeah, you losing King of Fire like that, not exactly it. Really likely want to take this with a full 5 roster, especially with what you have in your arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, especially given that you're still kind of, I guess you're trying to build up some ultimates here. Seems fine, but Bingus has almost all 5 on. This is such a, it has to almost be an eco push. You are a little bit behind. You gave up some for trades, so it's just going to be kind of trading ults. I expect Bingus here just to come on top simply just because they have the economy a little bit in their side. It's going to come down to who uses it last.
About that ultimate timing, the Winston going in pretty deep and gets that play down just when they need it. Sound barrier to keep them up and healthy, and the nano boost, everything going into this fight. The Outlawed Barons, they have to win it now with the amount that they're investing. They're back on the points, still with the overclock, and they're going to get it. What's surprising here is, look at that. Look how much Bingus used in that. So they used everything.
They threw everything at that to try to make the stop, and
wow.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, Outlawed Baron still managed to hold 2 out of that, they built Cookie Man. They built Cookie Man's ult too. So the rotation for those ultimates for Outlawed Barons is online. They're in a pretty good spot to keep this rolling here. Swaps come in for Bingus. We're binging into Cassidy now, and I guess we just are trying to find a little bit more burst out. We didn't like what we were playing before, and I don't hate it. I think as long as you can get some value with the shots on the sticky bomb, this should be fine. You just kind of have to try to play this slow and draw everything out of Outlawed Barons going in here, because this is Bingus. This is Outlawed Barons' fight to lose.
Yeah, pulling this off, I mean, winning that just off of investing into your tank player really says something, and you're just have so much sustainability, but that's why you switch to the Cassidy, I guess.
Oh,
because
wow.
that, like, you lose your Winston, but what a blow from Twinkie! The alert's there, it's spotted out, it looks super cool, I loved what you were going for, but nope, Akari's got eyes on you. They were ready for this today.
Oh, great awareness. Just great map awareness, and to catch Twinkie out like that. That could have been a huge play just shut down, so great hold out of Bingus. Just simply winning on map awareness, really. And that's the hold. They will come into Nano for the Barons, and now suddenly there are ultimates still back on their side. Again, it's Outlawed Barons' fight to lose here, because there's only Tac Visor, and Outlawed Barons just have more raw firepower in the ultimates.
Have it, but the thing is, they're close to a couple themselves. You're just going to go in and nano the Winston. You want to take this advantage early, just even if you don't get the eliminations, you get the space, you get the corners. But nice shots onto Shadow will end their life. Lemon taking a nice approach forwards. Cookie Man finds themselves way off in the defense, loses their life for it, but a lot of space gains. Needs to back off though with Attack Visor and the Deadeye to zone everybody off. A huge investment from Bingus, but they don't want to give up this point.
I said it was Baron's round to lose, and they unfortunately did. Bingus showing that they are a scrappy team willing to win and hold out until the last moment to commit what they need. And that level of discipline and showing that they are just going to use ults later, they're going to save their abilities and try to win in as neutral as a fight as possible, has worked in their favor here going into this. Now Lemon will match the Soldier, and we're pretty close to a mirror here. Rose is the only one with anything up, and I mean, you can find value with this. It just needs to be well placed, and Twinkie falling early basically means this push is on hold.
I mean, there's the tricky part though. Outlawed Barons, they're already kind of in there. I mean, they do have the option to back off, and they don't really want to. They want to hold this corner that they put themselves in and just make themselves focus down this poke, try to get a bit more of their ultimate charge up before they actually fully commit in this fight.
Yeah. It's important for them too. I mean, considering they have only Sound Barrier going into this, Bingus has 3 up, both support ultimates. Like, it's just a tough mountain to climb for Bingus.
And that it just got even easier for them because there's the Earth Shatter and the Amp Matrix. Master Bacon coming to use with the full Reinhardt kit. 45 seconds is what's remaining, and Outlawed Barons, they're starting to struggle a little bit on their very comp that they're so good at.
Yeah, you know, shame on me for just assuming about Barons were going to be better here. Now they're this aggressive play. They're going to push the issue with 30 seconds on the clock. I think they're just going to try to deny presence as much as they can. Avocado and Shadow both have those sound barriers up, so whoever's using it last here is going to help decide this victor. I mean, is there anybody to touch? It's probably going to be the Soldier at this point.
Oh, there's the touch. But here's the thing, Outlawed Barons, they used that sound barrier really early. Bingus, they're able to save that for a bit later. It's the huge advantage in the health pool. Just look at where Cookie Man's health pool is right now. They have to play so passive to wait this one out, and that is going to cost them dearly. If you do end up losing your Junkrat and you have to Resurgence, that Tac Visor, we need to actually find something with it, but you can't when you're laid down on your back. Cookie Man bringing this one back into the fight, but needs to stay alive in order to do it. Outlaws, they want to take away this second objective. And it's now or never in the overtime situation. There's a couple scrappy players remaining from Bingus, and Outlaws looking to get this one all the way through. And they will certainly do it.
They'll keep themselves alive here in the 11th hour, and Lemon now holding onto this Visor. Nothing to pair with it, but I expect Cookie Man will make the space and the chaos for that to succeed. Twinkie does have Tire as well, so the ultimates are up there. Nothing really important. They just need to get Rose's. If they can make sure Rose doesn't get Immortality Field to block either of those, they'll be in a winning fight here. It looks good for the Barons.
All they need to do is win one fight, and that's about all the time that they have, given the minutes that remains on that time bank. We know that he loves to flank with these Rip Tires, but it's not going to be the time for it with a Deadeye through an Amp Matrix. Yeah, I would better back off. But that's actually great for the attackers, though, because now they don't have to worry about anything coming back into this.
No, and that still buys it to last fight now. 3 ultimates up for the Outlawed Barons. They won that basically on the neutral, so a great place to hold here. It's Outlaws, it's the Barons' place to hold this. They just need to make sure they don't overextend.
A lot of pressure on the Barons here. They have all of the tools that they need, but they gotta use them together and build something amazing out of it. Otherwise, you're not gonna get anywhere at all. But here we go. Attack Visor to start us out, looking for the counterpart in the Soldier 76. Sound Barrier is going to be very helpful in getting this one through, but when everyone else laid onto their backs, it's Master Bacon looking to shut this one down. Nice immortality field to keep everybody up. It might be a little too late for the defense, though, as Twinkie has gotten themselves successfully into the backline this time around. Outlawed Barons have several players on that payload, are going to keep it moving forwards, and the longer Bingus stagger this out, and the less of a chance they're going to actually have a solid stop. Akari's really the only one in that corner. At this time, someone has to get on that payload and continue to contest, but this is just the territory for them to wing it. Shadow saved that sound barrier for the last second. You have the Wrecking Ball. Basically infinite Saul, and losing the King of Fire there is really going to hurt Outlawed. If they don't close this one out fast, they're not going to have the chance to, though. Both DPS ultimates come online for the defense, and the point is not going to reach that final spot. So close, but yet so far.
Yeah, and so close, but a win condition is at least there alive for Bingus now. They just have to basically get a full complete. I mean, most people do it all the time there, but these fights have been scrappy, and you can even see it in the numbers. Just across a little bit more, Akari and Scorpio have just been kind of out-damaging. It's a little bit raw. Oh, but this is a great stop. Again, just kind of the awareness of this team and the damage they've been putting out has just been so much more. The visors on the side of Bingus have just been getting a lot more value. You know, we used to kind of laugh at Visor for the longest time as being a low value ultimate, but here it is getting all of that value out of it. The other thing I kind of want to keep an eye on is that the Cookie Man just seems to be eating most of that damage. 14,000 versus Master Bacon on 8. Cookie Man is just
wow.
Like, there's good and bad to it, right? Because you're giving your ultimates that, you're giving your teammates that ult charge, you're feeding that. But that tells me that Cookie Man is also getting pretty into scenarios where he needs to get bailed out a lot, and you're putting the resources into the Rhine that may not be coming up a lot of the time. I think you kind of need to reevaluate and take a minute if you're the Barons to just figure out, look, let's rein in our Reinhardt, let's play a little bit more controlled and get the spam damage that we were winning off of before back in line, because that was working before and it can work here. Bingus starting off on this double range score. I don't know that they'll stay on this, but I do think it'll be a couple opening shots and they'll evaluate from there. But I do think that Outlawed Barons with his double flex support line, also the Ana and Baptiste, that's kind of a best of both worlds, right? Nano plus field is a great offensive defensive combo.
This is great. Hey, you needed more support for Cookie Man? That's the support for Cookie Man right there.
Yeah, really.
A huge reason that they won Nepal, actually, so is because of the aggression that we saw from that Reinhardt player. And you're not able to continue it nearly as well as you would like. But hey, nice pick off from Scorpio to open it up on the Widowmaker. I don't think that was really expected at all. As Outlawed Barons, they're finding themselves running for the hills and trying to run out of the sightlines of the sniper. They simply can't, though. Bingus are winning this back off the back of something that we haven't even seen from them yet.
Well, they won it off the back of just passive play, really.
Yeah.
There was just, I mean, Outlawed Barons just kind of gave up the space, and Bingus was uncontested. There's no one to really fight it except for Lemon, and it's just not really able to stay on. So Scorpio, as long as they continue to be uncontested, will just have these sightlines free, hopefully. And it's a winning combination. They're already halfway to sights. Again, see it?
Wow.
It's just enough to win if he goes uncontested.
This is crazy. Outlawed Barons, they knew they needed to switch something. This is certainly it. This is the aggression that they wanted to continue to push. Yeah, this is great for Bingus right now. They play the long-range coke game. Don't even let Outlaws get close. Exactly their play style.
Yeah, and this is, again, the map awareness and map control that they had kind of shown in that previous round, too, right? Now they're playing up. They basically already have most of point B in their control. They can give it up as they need to, but they do have several things coming on. They'll have a couple ultimates up. They just need to kind of play to their strengths, take this fight early, and play aggressively.
Yep, you're taking on the Winston now, so it's a little bit more freedom for the Reinhardt, I guess, in this scenario. Be able to get aggressive and no shield at all. You can go in, but a nice anti-nade. We'll set him back just a tad bit. We do get that traded out for the Widowmaker, but the Ana going down is much more valuable pick. Twinkie needs to turn this around with that Riptire. Nice elimination onto Shadow. Don't have to worry about that. The payload's going to get around this corner. Akari nearing that overclock. And hopefully put an end to that objective would be a great ultimate to do so. And Bingus, they're in a good spot. Keep rolling this one forwards.
I mean, they are coming up against that aggression as it's now on B, but sights up and the Widowmaker duel is live. I mean, I'm keeping more of my eye on Akari here with that railgun up. That's going to be the only thing that really makes a difference here. There's nothing on the other side to stop it.
Yep, and that's all your contention gone too. I mean, Outlawed Barons, they're vulnerable to the overclock. They don't got a tank to take that damage for them, so you might as well just be giving up this point now, because you have 5 minutes to try to just defend this third objective.
I mean, you have both support ultimates, and great shot out of Lemon, wow. You have both support ultimates up for the Barons, and I mean, they can both make plays with those, but between that and Immortality Field, but the problem is Scorpy just continues to find value without getting a lot of harassment, so Sound Barrier will have to come in for one of the two, but I'm keeping an eye on who gets the opening pick here between these Widows.
We've seen it a lot from Scorpy. Lemon just making the recent swap. We haven't seen it too much from them, but they're looking to make their name known in the lobby. But first, it's actually going to be those support ultimates we were talking about a little bit earlier. That space that Winston buys gets Twinkie into the mix, finding Shadow. And Bingus are going to be sent back a little bit, but again, Cookie Man still struggling with controlling their aggression here and ends up going down.
I mean, you felt like you were invincible. You had the nano, so I respect it, but that is way too late. Sights up, and it's going to be, that's a free shooting range now, Tiny.
Yeah, it just waltzes right in front of that corner. And a nice shot from Lemon here, but it doesn't do much to stop the payload.
Oh.
Okay, that might do it. That might just about do it. As there's an Ant Matrix up, but nobody really cares about it too much. It's just a Reinhardt over there. As long as you can dodge a fire strike, it is just fine. We're going to be in a bit more of a standstill here on this third point. We're really slowing down the pace.
That's a very early Immortality Field, though. That's a go button for the side of the Barons, though. And again, just free shooting range for Lemon. Wow, Lemon has come to life here.
Lemon just nailing it on to 2. Yeah, I can see why we switched to the Widowmaker. Certainly, making themselves heard in this lobby. And a big reason of why Outlawed, they're still able to hold on to this point.
And they won that basically in the neutral there, so they bought a lot of time off. 2 minutes now gone, 3:30 on the clock. Shadow's still holding onto that Sound Barrier. There's nothing really to do with it. You kind of just have to save it for Twinkie's tire, so an early pick on the Shadow would be, again, just another lost fight here. Barons have the tools in their pocket to win.
And, you know, they don't even need those tools. If the Lemon keeps hitting shots like this, has it out now, knows exactly where the Widowmaker is, and lands that shot! Oh, this is just domination from Lemon, having this defensive setup to work off of. And you have the Matrix too. It might not even have needed it because that just buys so much time.
Yeah, I mean, just we've been keeping an eye on this duel because it's so impactful. All it takes is man down, and suddenly these fights have to go. It's happened so many times though that Outlawed Barons, Cookie Man already has ult, and now with a one advantage again, they're just going to continue to hold this. Now under the 3-minute mark, 3 ultimates live. Bingus, I mean, they're still just dry pushing here. They need to find some way. They really need to send someone to contest Lemon, and it looks like it might be Akari if they can find the angle, but they're already caught out here now.
You're
sleep. The Rhino sleep.
Master Bacon. It's nap time, Master Bacon. Make sure that you're recharged so you're ready for the fight. I mean, this is hard. I mean, they haven't even gotten a full push before somebody just falls. This is why we're down to 2 minutes and a 5-minute start. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah, again. So like all these resets are just punishing them. There has to be some point where if you're Bingus, you just play aggressively and go, and I think that moment might be now.
Looking for the time. Everyone's laid down on their backs, though. The Deadeye doesn't do too much to zone people out, but eventually it will snag Twinkie through that shield, and Cookie Man will fall shortly after. Now the only concern is actually contesting that Widowmaker on the high ground before Lemon takes down some of their own. But Bingus, they're happy to finally get this payload rolling.
It is, and they still have a win condition. There's still 2 fights left, though. Twinkie holding these tires had been kind of stopped multiple times, just needs to play a little more sneaky on that Junkrat to close this out. There is the Immortality Field and a tire, but this is enough right here. Oh, it gets stopped.
And right into the shield and the Immortality. Not the best look. I mean, that Junkrat tire needed to be huge. Now you're without it, and you're stuck with this payload moving forwards. Master Bacon comes on board with the shatter. Lands it onto 2. Looking for the pin. Great targeting on that. But this one's not looking too hot even to continue it out because Twinkie's returned to the fight. Master Bacon needs to continue to swing that hammer around, zone out the payload, as they do best in this overtime situation. Just under a meter left for the completion. Bingus want to tie this up right here and right now. Stall can keep coming in though. The spawns are practically in sight. They're just so easy for people to get back in and contest. And not if Master Bacon's there, just Going to continue to do that. 3 final blows in their name, and eventually it will hit Soab. Very drawn out, but we really did know what was coming after we hit that 5-minute mark. Outlawed Barons, they did have a pretty impressive stall, all things considered, but in the end, it did go the way of Bingus.
I mean, that was, like you said, that was a very impressive stall. Burning those 3 minutes off the clock is no short task. In any other kind of a match, a closer match, that they didn't lose the kind of first 2 points really quickly, that would have been enough to hold. They would have won that. And again, they just kind of played very conservatively. They just trusted Lemon to get those picks. And, you know, I'm not going to say who got the better of that Widow duel because both had moments, but we can say that the DPS from both of these sides have had moments where they've looked so good. Akari and Scorpy both looked great on these hit scans. Putting in so much damage, getting value out of all their ults. Twinkie on this Junkrat has continuously looked good, just kind of been thwarted is really the problem. Has never really gotten the full value. Has gotten value to retires, but none of the sneaky plays they're looking for has been good. And Lemon, you know, we were kind of looking at them initially, and they came to life over on that. And we also, so like, it's very coming down to these DPS and who's kind of just being allowed to do more, be it just have more sightlines, have more angles, and you can kind of see what's going on here. The question that I'm now wondering is that, you know, we do see these Widows come in, so we've seen that longer sightlines will come to a battle of that. But we're still also seeing these Reinhardts fight now. And now that we've seen Master Bacon come in off the bench, I'm very curious to see what happens, because that's kind of the counterpoint to all this, is if you can play out of the sightlines of the Widow, you can win the ground war.
Essentially, and I think that having Master Bacon come in was a switch that was necessary. I think that Reinhardt just wasn't a hero the other tank player really had under their belt. Master Bacon looked much more comfortable and was able to kind of deal with the aggression that Cookie was putting out and really just punish it in the end. So a huge difference in play style there. We doubted Bingus coming into this map choice. We really did after what happened. This is a great turnaround from them. And even heading into our next map selection, which I believe is actually going to be Escort, if I'm not mistaken. So Escort here, we saw Widowmakers go nuts. You know what Escort is good for? Snipers.
Yeah, long sightlines. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely right on that. Yeah, and that's going to be the question mark here, right? Because now we've seen the teams coming off the bench. The other question is who else is coming in off the bench? Because now it will be the Baron's pick. They'll get to choose a map. They'll have a look at it, but I mean, that's still a map away. We still got to take a break because I need to catch a breath after that, Tiny.
Oh, me as well. So you guys don't go anywhere. We will be back in just a couple minutes with a continuation of this diamond level match. And we are back with the CGL Diamond Console Mid-Season Finals. Just in time for map number 3, Bingus and Outlawed Barons are currently tied up at 1 apiece as we prepare for the Escort selection, which did end up going the way of the Outlawed Barons as they had lost that last map.
Yeah, and they have chosen what we are now dubbing the King's Row of Escort. It's Circuit Royale. You know it, you love it, you play Sigma here, you enjoy it.
Yes!
But I think the actual thing, we were kind of joking about being unexcited. I'm actually excited because we just got to look at 2 great Widowmakers here, and this is nothing but long sightlines and angles for days. So now I'm very, very interested to see how this duel between these 2 Widowmaker players pans out, because we saw you know, some upper hands traded. We saw some shots fired back and forth. But I do think we might pass on the typical Sigma plays. I do think we might actually just straight see more Ryans here, honestly, just given how these teams have played.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too shocking. Again, I love my Sigma. Sigma is my favorite Space Grandpa in the entire world, but the Space Grandpa has not come on the battlefield today. It's just been the good old German man. And hey, we actually are gonna get a treat because we have a Wrecking Ball. Okay, but so before you make any comment here, I have played with this guy. King Kip here is a nutcase on the Wrecking Ball, okay? This guy is absolutely nuts. And I think the part that's even more shocking than the Wrecking Ball is the fact that Outlaws, they're not even going to run the Widowmaker that Lemon did so well on the defense.
Yeah, that's the interesting piece to me. Like, King Kip over on the ball is interesting. This comp makes total sense, but Lemon staying on the Soldier, I guess we just value Visor so much is my guess, and I don't know what's going to happen because Scorpy is looking like they are going to stay out on this Widowmaker, and I think that they may make those changes down the line. Splice coming over to the Sombra with the Doomfist. The Hack Fist is an interesting take on this. You don't see a lot of this, so I'm very curious to know what happens as this attack rolls out, because there's not fantastic targets other than the ball to focus out here.
This low-key reminds me of something I would see in my solo queue comp games, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, it's already working out for Bingus. I mean, nothing really to counter Scorpy for the time being, and it just buys so much space.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the ball to counter and bother Scorpy, but they still are struggling to do that, and now Lemon's just in the back line here.
Yeah, Lemon's had to move back. He lost Atomic Man, so Bingus, that's probably the one piece that doesn't fit into their puzzle too well. Scorpy, though, will get King Kip, and that defense is gone. Outlaw Barons, they're gonna back off.
Yeah, there's not much they can do here. They'll throw in a slight engage, but they're just kind of staggered out for the Barons. They just have to buy and kind of give up. They're trying to buy as much space as they can going into this. Scorpy already almost to sites. Doesn't help him too much, but we've seen Scorpy put in some work with those sites before, so I write nothing off here.
Never say never with that time, but it's very difficult because we can see how much King Kip is just putting the pressure onto that Widowmaker, but if they're getting constantly hacked, there's not too much. You just get burned down so quickly. Scorpy, though, does have those sights up already. Chunked the Pharah down once. Needs to land just one more shot to get him. Nice on the drop there. And King of Fire goes off the map as the reset, but the payload is going to get all the way there in the end. Outlawed Barons, something's not working too hot here.
Yeah, I think I see what the plan is trying to be, which is harass Scorpy into oblivion, and it's just not really getting there. The trades will come through, but again, like, the Barons just need a full reset, really. They really just need a full reset off of this. They're coming into ultimates, but they're just staggered. Like, you can see them trying to contest, and it's 2 and 3 versus 5 all the time here, Tiny. You can see it. Like, even now, the Sombra just hacks, continues to get 2. The cart still rolls. It's just small delays, and it's just going to be difficult because Bingus really just continues to push the issue play aggressively. Barons just need to stop, get a reset in a full 5. They have the ultimates coming their side. They have the chance to put their foot down. They just need to kind of have a reset and do it.
Even if they can actually get this reset, they're still playing into several ultimates, especially the biggest one here probably going to be that EMP coming up. They're already down their own Sombra player, so many risky things coming the way. Arkari slamming back down onto the ground onto the Ana player. Bingus, I don't think this payload has really even stopped so far in this map.
No, it's been moments, but most of it has been done. If it's going to stop, it's going to stop right here in B. I mean, Mines, Nano, plus Visor, any amount of that that get thrown at it is going to be enough to overwhelm Bingus. So it's Outlawed Barons just needs to do something to put their foot down here.
Maybe it's the minefield laying that down on the payload, zoning it off, but everyone else is locked up with that EMP. With the attack visor, that increased damage is going to be really, really helpful, but eventually getting the pick onto Akari is something Outlaw Barons, they really needed to help stabilize here, because Bingus, they're going to have to back off, but Scorp, okay, that was an amazing shot, first of all. They do go down, the resurrections there. Bingus, they're still in a good fight position to take this one back on, because they're just getting the stacker so at.
I mean, it was just bound to happen given how Barons just ultimately worked out. And now that we're back in the neutral, though, Barons do have EMP and Sound Barrier. I don't know about you. I've not seen an EMP go well. Most of the time I've seen EMPs go off. It's been press Q to go back to spawn. So we'll see how this goes out.
Yeah, EMP, even if it doesn't get all the cancellation you want, that increased damage is so great to combo up with things. But hey, you're losing players just like
that Sound Barrier gone. That Sound Barrier gone, Tiny.
Yeah, it's the major win condition just gone. You have to commit to the EMP onto this fight to finish it off. Hopefully, they're not the success that's needed. The payload's going to get all the way through. Random King of Fire is back with the Sound Barrier to push it up, but Outlaw Barons, they still don't have all their players, and they're so low to keep themselves alive in this fight. Arthur was assassinized so many times on the Sombra, getting caught out every time they come out from invisibility, while the rest of their team's just fighting on point, playing the stall game pretty much the entire time. They haven't really had an organized push so far. Playing this composition defensively has been a struggle.
Yeah, the end of B, unfortunately, was the most organized the Barons looked. It's not to say that they've been playing bad, but they just never really they've been frazzled. They've been playing very frazzled this whole time. And the plan has been, we need to harass Scorpio. We need to put all systems go into bothering this Widowmaker. Scorpio has been punishing them moment after moment, a pick and going, and it's just been a struggle. The Barons now, with a couple of ultimates on their side, gonna try to contest this high ground. Still need to just be wary because Scorpio already there, and again, just continues. If is supported, we'll just take shots and get fire out of it. Splice has their own EMP for Bingus. The ultimates are there. They should continue to keep this rolling.
Rolling quite literally as King Kip rolls on up on the high ground. The minefield denies the space from Scorpy. That, hey, you dealt with the problem, at least for the next 20 seconds, while that ultimate is in effect. And actually get the elimination too. A nice shot to pull it out, but you just have the resurrection. It's the annoying piece of having the mercy these fights, and just can turn right back around with that single thing. And King Kip gets perma-stunned once again. Outlawed Barons, they have to back off. They have tools to work with, but if they're getting punished before they can even use them, what do they even do about that? There's the meteor strike, so much investment to keep Lemon alive here. And you get Shadow off the back of that, but Scorpion's return to the fight and is hitting those shots continuously. Bingus, they're still on the move.
I mean, yeah, it cost a lot and it was a drawn-out fight, but again, Splice now with another EMP, still looking to hold this out.
They got the EMP off onto 3. No eliminations so far, as Scorpy eventually will get a taste of their own medicine. Lemon returning to that Widowmaker. We saw them play so well earlier, and Outlaws, they're gonna have some time to breathe, but not too much of it.
No, about 2 fights left here. Scorpy has sights up, so a slight advantage in the Whittle duel. Arth does also have EMP. Oh wow, look at that! But what was the first pick there?
Lemon saltier, or no, lemon sour. I should have said that. Gosh darn it, I set it up so well. Oh, I'm gonna hit myself for that one later. Hey, Bingus, we get to see round 2 of it, but Scorpy having the sights up means they have a great advantage as well as the rest of their team to push forwards. It's going to be the Terra Surge, not coming up with too much just around the corner, and Scorpy goes down to Lemon again. Really, really upset about how this point's been going so far. This is the player that we know and how they can pop off. King Kip really trying to move up here, being that aggressive Orisa to kind of lock down this sightline.
I do like that change coming in, especially versus the Doomfist. The rally off screen just to buy this, and that's an early push here.
For the window in, the rally forces Outlawed Barons back. You have the EMP.
Oh,
landing onto a couple, but you're not getting too much in because Lord Avocado, they've already gone down to Corey. Just full send it with that extra little health pool. Very nice for the Doomfist to get aggressive. That team kill is going to come in, and Bingus, they're just close to that finish line.
There will be a touch here, and it'll be sights to go with it. It'll probably be whoever can just make it there first. Maybe if they're lucky, it'll be King Kip.
Realistically, the best one to touch this one out. Splice, though, with that overclock, huge shot on a King of Fire, but that's traded out. We are in an even fight right now. Huge advantage for Outlawed Barons. Bingus, their time is running low. They're looking to close it out, and they're very close to doing it. King Kip's the only one alive, doesn't have the health to continue it. It looks good for Outlawed Barons there for a second, but Bingus, they will get that cap.
They did. It just unfortunately kind of never went that way. I mean, there was a bit of a slowdown out of the Barons towards the end, but on the whole seat, I mean, Bingus were quite literally in the driver's seat of that car. They, again, just were forcing fights a little bit early. Outlawed Barons just continued to try to put a stop down and try to flip this, but they never really got themselves in a position. And again, Scorpy on this Widowmaker, it has just been a very good carry. Has absolutely just been given the resources when given the sightlines, has shown that they will do it. Akari on the Doomfist, I was a little hesitant of too. Yeah. I have to shout it, but really putting in that work, especially versus, you know, a counter dive, a lot of the tools that were there to counter, that Doomfist came out very, very well. So I don't know that much is going to change for either of these teams. Both teams probably feel very confident in it, but I do think the one thing that we should see is Lemon stay on that Widowmaker, and I think that is the correct choice. Scorpy is going to opt off out of that. We'll see if that stays, but I do think that's correct though, because once Lemon swapped to Widowmaker, he just started winning the fights, and you can kind of see it. Like the score just kind of started going in their favor. Now at 9 and 7. Most of those came in late once the swap hit. The other thing worth pointing out is just that the support line out of the Barons just kind of never really got the healing they were looking for. Like you can see the numbers out of it. The healing numbers are just so kind of different. Like I mean, Atomic on Brig has 7,000. That's already almost 1.5 of that team. Really just kind of putting in a lot of the work and protecting it. And given that this is where Mercy really got those advantages, I would be keeping an eye on them here too. This looks right. I just don't know if Bingus is going to change after these initial shots. And yeah.
Here's the thing. You switch off the Widowmaker, which is fine. But then
Lemon's
free to do things just like that. Like, you're not afraid of dying to another Widowmaker. You can just go crazy, take all the sightlines. Arthur's going to go straight in with the Pharmacy. This is just great. Bingus really, really struggling. Outlawed Barons taking full advantage of the composition that Bingus has, and are going to get so much done as a result.
So there needs to be something now, because now we've quite literally flipped the script here. Now Lemon, as long as they have the sightlines, will just continue to run this, and I really want to see something. I want to see Splice on that duty. I want to see something harass Lemon to continue to keep this going, because King Kip now over on the ball, and yeah, just that.
It just happened. That's the thing. Look at that peel. King Kip just came right back in, rolled the sniper out of the way, and Lemon's here to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I think literal 1 HP does manage to get it.
Yeah.
That's an early fight win for Bingus, though, and that's enough to push them back. Scorpio will clean up the rest of that. And, I mean, it is time off the clock, and it's a good hold. They just, again, I like that a little bit more. They'll force Lemon off.
Oh,
Okay. I'm sure. If we don't think we want to take that duel, I don't hate that. That all being said, Scorpio's just now ahead, has a Deadeye up.
Yeah.
There's not really much else for this attacking squad, so they're going to kind of have to rely on aggression and a sneaky pick to keep us going, because Bingus has the advantage in at least the one ultimate.
Yes, they have it, right? And Deadeye's a pretty weak ultimate to do it. Ooh, but Scorpion, you gotta stay alive so you can actually use that ultimate, please. They just hold down on the payload here. I mean, Artho wants to get close.
Oh no!
Okay, that's kind of tragic as a Pharah player. It's okay, you get a second chance. King of Fire is bringing them back into the fight, but we'll be much more cautious of Scorpion's shot right now. Look at this aim. This is why you put Scorpion on the Cassidy. Just absolutely right. Doesn't even need the Deadeye, because Kari is able to get aggressive onto that on 11. Literal 1 HP will eventually go down once again. Bingus, they're looking much better on this defense.
The other part to all this Bingus comp is that there's nothing really to stop Akari on the other side here. There are still gonna look at that as just aggression into the Pharah. Like, it doesn't matter if the Pharah is in the air. Akari's gonna take that shot. Wow.
And Arthur waiting for the barrage too. Wow, that is just. Oh, you can't be too happy right that if you're Outlawed right now.
No, that's a lot. Now you have ultimates on the line though. Both support ultimates up. It is still a lot, but Bingus is ahead here. Lemon's an early pick though is a huge start.
They really needed that. Even if that comes back alive, you got the space, you're out the corner now. King Kip being on the Sigma means that you have a bit more staying power, just kind of behind the shield. But you're walking into so many ultimates. If the players keep going down quickly, you lose the tank. So Scorpy has to be the one to turn it back around with one on their own. Pushing back up to the payload to lock this one down. No tank though. You can't really walk into King Kip. You're forced to back up, give up a little space because Akari will be back really quickly into this fight, but you ended up using EMP there too. So Lemon going down makes all of that worthwhile. There hasn't been too much of an engage with a minute remaining. You don't need to get too ridiculously aggressive. Just make this last out so you can push it to a one fight territory.
Yeah, and now Bingus is just closing it out here. It looks like they will make it to that one fight. The last people to signal will be the last to get bullied out, and I mean, they spent everything to hold it, Bingus, but they rebuilt on that. So there is Meteor Strike. It's still considered pretty weak. There's nothing really to throw into it. I'm wondering and looking at Lord Avocado's nano. It has to go onto somebody, and it might just be Arthro. I don't know. Somebody has to get here. It will probably be the soldier. This nano has to come up huge.
I'm gonna get to the payload first, so let's make that our #1 priority. What you get with the Deadeye zoning everybody off, and the touch isn't even there. So that nano boost, it was there, it was ready. They had a chance at winning that. They just couldn't take it. They didn't have a choice. I love that aggression there. That was certainly something, and I think that's the most defined map we've seen in this series so far.
Oh yeah, considering we saw a little bit of, considering these teams have just been throwing haymakers like that, it is so tough to see both of these teams just kind of play each other off. And again, between these hit scan players, Lemon, Scorpy, have just looked so good. You can see when the resources are given to them, when the sights, the control of the map is just there. They looked really good. And I got to shout out Kari on this Doomfist. You know, I'll admit it, I was a skeptic. I wasn't really sold on it. We've not seen it. It's not something we'd seen on, especially on here. But I mean, it just, he did well on that. He played incredibly well and created the chaos for his team to live. I mean, that was certainly, you know, how much of this can we attribute to just the wackiness of that in some ways though too? Because that was not atypical. We saw the typical Circuit Royale comp come out at the end. And I do wonder if if Barons had come into that sooner, maybe we would have seen a little bit of a different map. At some point, they were just kind of forcing what they thought down the throats on that attack. And at some point you need to make those changes. The changes just came too late. I also kind of think that maybe we just didn't get there in time. Maybe we didn't realize the swaps were never going to be there, because a tracer would have been the appropriate thing to kind of get there if we were giving up ball.
Well, hey, the nice thing about that is it's not the end of the world that you lose that map.
Yeah.
It's still a best of 5 series. So it's only, you're down a map though. It is match point for Bingus right now. Outlawed Barons, if they're going to keep themselves alive, this is going to be their last map pick. And it's going to have to be one that's going to count. Because this push map on Coliseo, this better be their playground. And with what they've continued to run, what they liked on Circuit Royale, their attempts, this is a much better spot to pull that out.
This is, but Tiny, I'm a simple Overwatch gamer. I see a street, I pick a brawl comp, and we deathball this. This Coliseo map looks like a great place to kind of revisit what worked for the Barons on Nepal. Just kind of bring it back to basics. Bring your Rhine, bring your Sim, bring your Junkrat, and just kind of control the streets. You're playing in essentially a straight line, and you have a little bit more to do on your side. So I do think that with that plan in mind, the Barons made like a good choice. We don't have a lot of push maps, mind you, so you only have you don't have a lot of choices. But I do think that if you're going to try to force it back to something that you've won on prior, this is a good map to do it on.
Most certainly. This is a very long, open map that Reinhardt can easily take advantage of. I think, though, that this, you could also argue that this kind of plays to what Bingus wants to do. If they want to stay on this more hack-fist comp, this is something that Akari can prove to, again, that they're pretty strong on, and even then, the Outlawed Barons, they don't even want to go to that. They're just going to stick with this Wrecking Ball or poke-centric area.
They are going to swap in the Tracer and the Kiriko, though, and I do like these a bit more just to try to get in and annoy a backline that may or may not be there. And Kip, immediately caught out. Ooh.
Immediately caught out, but it's a counter hack onto the Sombra, barely able to translocate away, and King Kip ends up losing their Sombra. It's very low in health, too. Bingus already looking off to be a great start. Outlawed Barons, their flank just got read like a book.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough play because those kinds of solo plays making moments do get punished really hard, especially at Diamond and above, where team play is kind of the king here. It's still pretty neutral. That said, Splice is halfway to an EMP. It's hard to, I can't call EMP a winning comp anymore. I really can't call it. We've just seen more Sombras go back to spawn after pressing.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a death sentence to begin with. You're already seeing a bunch of different play styles from these Sombras, but a little bit more passive, because you have a few players like Lemon to actually hit the shots, pick up 2, and you don't really need the Sombra to really even make an appearance. Robot is going to turn back around on its toes. Arthur still striking back a bit more, and wow, this is the Lemon we know and love.
Yeah, that was the Lemon we were expecting to see. Now Deadeye in hand has won that ult economy race. Splice still does have EMP though. There's not too much else for the Barons, so I do expect actually, I'm going to say this is a bold take, I expect Splice's EMP to make an impact here as long as they build it in advance.
Splice is very, very close to it. You just really make a quick appearance, put a couple shots in, and you've got that ultimate, but losing Shadow so early on. That's pretty devastating. You have to worry about that Meteor Strike, sending straight back, wants to trade out this Mercy player after losing their loan. They will end up getting it. It's a great turnaround for Bingus. Coming back in, wanting to clutch this one out. Still, they have those EMPs at their disposal if they opt to use them, but Akari is on that cleanup, just denying everybody right, left, and center.
It was a good use of the map positioning. They played off the high ground and used the kind of dive comp to the advantage here. So, I mean, just great awareness of that. EMP's on both sides, plus the Scorpio still holding that Deadeye. It's just going to kind of come down to that Deadeye at this point, because King Kip will have mines. I just don't see how, with how Scorpio's been playing, that Scorpio will not be the playmaker here. They just have to enable him.
Scorpion's been pretty quiet this match, though. We haven't seen too much of him. I mean, the EMP certainly isn't going to help that situation whatsoever. It hits everybody. They're all so low. All Lemon needs to do is get in there, land a couple of those shots, because Bingus, they already lost one of their main supports. The Resurrection isn't going to be there. Akari is in a difficult position as they find themselves Minefield 2 on the objective. Bingus, this is not their fight to win.
No, it was not. Getting EMP5 does not help. They hold on to their own EMP, though, plus Valkyrie. And again, they just need to get Lemon in control here. This has been the story of these 2 hit scans. Yeah, it's just the story of these 2 hit scans right now. Whoever's Cassidy, long-range player, seems to have the advantage. Early, high noon?
I mean, hey, they did lose Kip, so if anything, that bought space to get Kip back in the fight. But you did lose your main damage dealer, which is going to be rather rough as this continues to go on. Outlawed Barons, if they win this fight, they get the forward spawns, and they're in such a good spot if they do, but they don't have really the tools to do it. Granted, you got a Kitsune rush. Losing King Kip, though, everybody else is just going to fall apart. The Outlawed Barons, they got to get out, either die or just, yeah, basically just die. Go for the full reset.
Full reset is there, and, you know, to Baron's credit, they have the bot further right now. They have the 60 meters. They just need to play a little bit defensively here. And I mean, it's hard playing this Kitsune rush into this, into these other ultimates. A powered up Scorpion will do a lot of damage, so an aggressive take out of the Barons will be important here.
They're trying to set up a play with King Kip and this Kitsune rush. Everybody else from Bingus, though, they're wisely kiting it around these corners of the Coliseum. Try to get something done. You throw a hack onto the wrecking ball, they come basically useless, and we'll get burned down as a result. A great counterplay. The resurrection is there as per usual. These have been getting off at such a high rate, and now your eyes are turning onto Scorpion, who's just struggling to land the shots that matter. Scorpions, they're really trying their hardest, really are, and you know what? It's okay, because Akari is there to keep you covered, land those shots, when sometimes you just can't hit all of them. King Kip, though, returning with that minefield, much more difficult to escape now, losing that support, looking for the other one in the Mercy. This has been such a back and forth match so far, but the important part is that Outlawed Barons, they're still in the lead and are going to hold on to it here.
They are also only committing 1 or 2 ultimates at any time, so it's very patient play from both of these sides. They'll commit one. I say patient, but Scorpion's been holding that high noon for the longest time now. There's such thing as too patient in some ways. 3 ultimates, you have to throw something into this on both sides. And I gotta shout out Lord Avocado, who, not in a typical pick for this kind of a comp, but they are making this Kiriko work in a lot of ways. That Kitsune Rush didn't quite find what you're looking for, but they are making it work.
Certainly are, and hey, it's a big part of the reason that this is actually able to get to the point. There was an early elimination that went out there, and the fact that Outlawed Barons got this so up is ridiculous with how close this has been, the advantage it gives them.
Yeah, it really is. Ooh, rally.
And a rally and the Deadeye, but it's a nice manual hack from Arthur, followed up with that EMP too, but it's already too late. That EMP, like you said, just doesn't get that same amount of value because Splice got it off first, got it off better, but it's an uphill battle now for Bingus.
Yeah, the big net gain out of that was, I guess, you hacked Scorpio out of high noon. Like we said, it's not the greatest value, but it is something. I mean, just gonna continue to hack in the back, and that's kind of the deal with these Sombras. They're just gonna annoy each other right now. I do expect Akari to find some sort of value with this ultimate, though, versus what's on the other side.
Find the value with it. Ooh, Lemon almost got pancakes, but no. Avoid the pancakesing for now. We'll stay alive, walk around for a bit longer. Lemon now with the Deadeye, keeping an eye out for anyone willing to peek their heads. Oh, they almost did! What a roll through from Kip, but unfortunately, they rolled a little too fast to be caught out. Lemon will lose their life. I got knocked around a bit too much. And stay around. Kip still fighting for their life. Has another minefield built up. It's crazy how many of these have come online in the past couple of seconds, but it's so hard for the Wrecking Ball to do as much work with the Sombra and the amount of damage. 1 HP! They try to survive off that. You lose the tank here. Bingus, they're looking to match.
Dies with mines. I mean, they will push back, and this is now suddenly a contestable moment here. Akari still looking to keep the fight alive. Bingus 3 ults up. EMPs are up. I'm really expecting this Kitsune Rush to be a difference maker here, though.
Yeah, you got the Kitsune, but you even have the EMP and the minefield. You don't want to have to use that Kitsune Rush if you don't have to, and yeah, that's exactly the situation Outlawed Barons are going to end. Yeah. A nice, controlled usage of their ultimates to turn the payload right back around, but I believe forward spawns were gained by Bingus, which is a victory in itself.
Yeah, that is something that is relevant. That'll make this fight a little bit more manageable now that they're only 10%, 10 meters behind. That helps. Like you said, they do manage to hold on to this Kitsune Rush, and that can be a difference maker. Scorpions, Deadeyes haven't found the value they're really looking for, but now is the time for Scorpio to come back and take that limelight. They are leading in the Cassidy damage fight, but they need to find something here because Lemon's also on one of their own.
Lemon is just hitting shots, has a mercy pocket. You're enabling this Cassidy so well. I mean, it hasn't had the best luck with the Deadeyes, but if you can win the neutral game, that's all you need to do. Because Outlawed Barons, they're continuing to roll this one up. And that last pick onto Shadow makes this one even more challenging. It's just a stagger fight, 2 minutes remaining out of the 10. It seems so much longer than those 8 minutes, though.
It really, really does. Both support ultimates up for the Barons mean they should be able to survive in a longer fight. Bingus needs to take this early in order to kind of hold their own here. So Barons just need to continue to draw this out, build towards EMP with those support ultimates, and again, they could close this out with a longer fight.
The longer this goes, the better it is for the Barons. But again, these Deadeyes, they're getting the hacks. So you have the Rally and the other ultimates, such as that Rally and the Meteor Strike. But both support ultimates also used from the Barons, so a heavy investment from them and a fight that they're going to lose, even with that commitment. So in the long run, not a great sight for them, but they set a bar that is really high, and with how much time is remaining, if they can just win a couple more fights here, they're good to go.
I mean, yeah. They do have the chance here. They have the meterage. They just need to play defensively, and they will have 2 ults up. Mine's EMP again. I'm putting 0 value on EMP here right now, so I'm looking at the mines if anything. EMP's on both sides, but again, I just don't know that we'll see value. Splice has kind of been ahead in some ways, but I really just don't know.
Hey, there's an EMP. It looks great, but yeah, the Sombra does go back to spawn as a result. Hey, the EMP still does get value, though. Barons, they're cleaning it up. You just don't have your Sombra to follow through on it. So here's the question here. 30 seconds remaining. They're still pushing the robot.
Yes, the rare EMP success moment. Yeah, huge. But the bigger thing is that they just need to maintain control. They don't even need to push here. It's last fight. Lemon has, they'll have Deadeyes on both sides. So the question mark here is just what happens. Shadow is the closest with that Nano, and that Nano's the difference maker in the fight.
That's really the only thing that Bingus has. I mean, you got a Deadeye, but I'm not really counting that with the success rate we've seen. It has to be the time to change my mind, though. Scorpy has it locked down on the bridge. Players are backing off. Lord Avocado gets caught off, and King of Fire. Bingus, they're finding themselves in a good spot here, and it's all because of Scorpy coming up with 3 in the last second. Bingus, they gave themselves the opportunity to turn this around, but it is far from over.
They now have to win everything out here, and they can't afford to lose anybody. The more they lose, the more they just are going to struggle on this. Now, Shadow's Nano is the only thing up. It's probably going to go into Akari, maybe Scorpy here, just depending on how things are. There's nothing for Outlawed Barons to kind of do, so they just need to draw this out and wear out the resources of Bingus if they want to hold this and tie this up and keep themselves alive.
All they need to do, it's just a restart game. All that needs to happen here from the Barons, keep themselves up in the series, is win 1 fight. And losing Arthur, they're not off to a great start in that scenario. Bingus, they have the resources coming up to keep pulling this through and the eliminations to do so. This is looking like a great roll. These staggers are just what they need.
They just need to kind of play this again a little bit quicker. They have some mileage they can give up also. They just need a full team fight as a 5 and to play this and build the last of their ultimates, because there are 2 up for Bingus. They'll have 3 probably all 5 by the time this fights for both sides. Bingus do stand to do this. The emergency bastion is out, and we are here and ready to fight.
You could argue this is Bingus' fight to lose right now. They have everything in their disposal for it to go their way, but the minefield gets denied by the EMP. Such great timing. King Kip going down. We can end it all right here. The Bastion coming back, looking for the spam damage just around the corner. Nano Boost was deployed onto Akari, but it really only to save him, so they don't get too much value out of it. Deadeye is going down the drain. All those ultimates, Bingus, they're suddenly gone, and Lord Avocado's coming back. The ultimate with the victory. The Kitsune Rush is coming up huge. Arthur with the EMP. And Outlawed Barons, what seemed like they almost fumbled it, will come back to take us all the way to a map 5.
Wow. Well played out of the Barons there. Just well played. The onslaught of ultimates that got thrown their way, just well timed and well played out. They, a lot was committed into stopping and playing defensively, but that's always been kind of their way, right? Mm-hmm. They were kind of playing they always like to play and push us on their terms. We saw this in Oasis, really just kind of forcing, again, on their fight, a fight on their terms that worked their way. But Bingus didn't look bad there. Bingus looked great. Lemon, between Lemon and Scorpio, it's just a highlight reel of Cassidy players right here. It's going to be, I have a feeling. But between Bingus, who just tried to play the map in a lot of different ways, Outlawed Barons just kind of played again. They played in the team fight. They played for their ultimates and just got a lot of value. And I'm just gonna say that EMP, that Deadeye was nuts. That was one of the few that got, plus this cancel, just huge. Great map control and awareness, because that's what Bingus has been winning on, right? Yeah. In a lot of ways, that's been their bread and butter, is using the map geometry, using the space that they take to try to help themselves to victory. Whereas the Barons have just basically kind of been playing as a team, and that's been their way to win. It's a tale of 2 stories here in some ways.
It's very different playstyles, and it's very interesting to see them clash. And of course, we do get to see that clash in even a higher degree as we will head to our 5th and final map of Control. However, we're not there just yet, as we have one more break before we get ready to prepare ourselves and to really feel the hype before we do. So we'll see you on the other side of 5 minutes, and be ready for the last map of this series.
Mood.
And welcome back, everybody, to the CGL Diamond Console Mid-Season Grand Finals. I've said that so many times, I can say it in my sleep at this point, but that's okay, because this series is certainly one that I will be dreaming about tonight, because it has been a crazy one so far.
This is absolutely the most diamond series we can have right now. We're map 5, throwing haymakers back and forth from both of these teams. You know, and it's so hard because now we're back in control, and this is where we know Outlawed Barons took that first round of control. And with that in mind, going to Ilios, it's so hard to look at this and predict it, right? Because Ruins is wide open sightlines. We might see the return of those Widows. Lighthouse, small spaces. We saw how well Bingus really played with that kind of, you know, perfectly great for a sim junk comp. And then, you know, not Ruins, I'm sorry, the last one is Well. And Well, we've kind of seen a little bit, like, you can do a lot. We've saw a lot of pharmacy stuff there. So this is, again, just like a really gonna be a litmus test based on what shows up, because neither team has a distinct advantage based on these maps.
Not really, and that's what makes it so exciting. This is what we want from a map 5 swap. This is what we want.
This is what
we've had some very interesting control map picks. It's not Lijiang Tower and it's not Busan, so hey, I'm here for it. Certainly an interesting one though, to kick us off, and I think that this one gonna definitely come down to which mini map do we find ourselves on. And number 1, it is going to be the Ruins. And just a reminder, this is, because it is map 5, this is the one that decides the entire series. Everything is on the line here.
Yeah, so these initial choices are going to be important. Outlawed Barons looking at that poke comp, similar to how they played before. And Bingus, they're bringing in the Zenyatta Shadow here as coming in off the bench. And I do think this is an interesting pick. It does give a little bit more burn for Akari and Scorpy now moving into the backline. So I'm going to be very interested to see what Scorpy can do on this Tracer. They look incredible on this hit scan. And now I'm looking to see what else they can do.
Scorpy's someone we're keeping an eye on. And you'd be great to work with the discourse. Can't do that, unfortunately. And so you have to fight it down as a 4v5. Just looking for that target to go on. You want it to be that Cassidy, one of the least mobile targets. But if you're constantly knocking around, getting hacked, it makes it difficult for the Bingus to even want to try that. So Outlawed, they're going to take that first capture just off of that early pickoff off the Zen. Scorpy barely managing to stay alive. And we're going to see a lot of these fights. They're just going to be long. They're going to be poking until somebody finds that opening, likely off the back of a hack, a nice stun, or even a nice couple of shots.
Yeah, and it's still going to be very picky. Or those Sombras still in the back, just finding value. Lemon already over on their way to a Deadeye, and it's not, like we said, we've seen mixed reviews on them, but Lemon has made him work, and I'd like to see him do it again. I think he can do it and keep this building.
Lemon's so consistent with Cassidy, except when it comes to Deadeyes. Like, you just get hacked every single time out of it. Every time. Splice will pay for it this time, though, and Lemon will get a second pickoff. The first definitive fight we're actually going to see end here, but Outlawed Barons, they were in control the whole time.
They really were, and even again, it's kind of predicted that it's going to get hacked, but you still kind of play into it, right? You can see how quickly there were 2 on Lemon, but Lemon was well supported there. So now with ultimates up, there will be Mines, there'll be Valkyrie, and an EMP up for Outlawed Barons. They are primed to hold this.
Ooh, they would like to hold that, and yep, their Sombra gets to keep their life, so in a much better position to ultimates have been unleashed, and Lemon will be pancaked as a result. Still looking for that continued setup. Bingus, they need to snowball this one together to keep it forwards, because a lot of resources still on the side of the Barons if they opt to use them. Right, they did actually, that Valkyrie was utilized. Just keep this one burning. Outlaws, they can get it all the way up to that 99% if they wish so. All they want to do, drag it out of Bingus, make this fight last as long as they can to give themselves a shot about coming back in. You're still sitting on the EMP. You don't have the follow-up at this point, though, and Bingus will clip that capture.
I mean, it's what's worked for them in the past, right? They would just build to last fight, save up their resources, win last fight, and then win the round. The problem is now they have a bit of an uphill mountain to climb because there's 3 ultimates on the other side. Both support ultimates up. Granted, it's Sound Barrier and Rally, not fantastic, but between that, the Bingus should be able to hold out versus whatever comes their way. So Baron's just probably going to play this slow, maybe play for a pick and try to move off that.
Barons certainly have time on their side here. With where they currently stand percentage-wise, so keeping that to their advantage. They want to use that Kitsune really early, but they don't have their other support really with them to do so. And now they don't have Lemon or Lord Avocado. Bingus, they're not having to invest anything into this. They're just winning it off the neutral, which is huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of the thing, right? We were just watching Arthro kind of run and try to find an EMP spot, and Akari just left uncontested, ran into the backline and found value. Again, and that's probably going to be the case as long as that continues.
The question is, how do you end up countering Akari? I mean, ideally you'd want to get a hack on them and eventually burn them down, but you don't have that same burst damage. And you'd really like to get the Doomfist. You're hoping the extra focus fire with the EMP will assist. Even the Kitsune Rush on top. Bingus, this is their fight to lose right now after losing the Doomfist, but the Sound Barrier gives them a shot at turning it around. Scorpion turning with Attack Visor, and the Kitsune Rush so powerful, comes up with one. Both supports dispose of. Outlawed Barons, they had a great start, but cannot close it out as Bingus fired right back.
The good news is that even with all those resources committed, there's still a bit of time on their side. There's at least 2 fights if they gather and just get together quick. Both tank ultimates up on both sides. So again, Lemon, kind of the difference maker here. High Noon is probably going to get hacked out of, but that is a perfect bait. If you can just bait Lemon into getting a pick for that High Noon, that's a great trade.
That's all you need. Lemon using a High Noon is basically a death sentence at this rate. Continuing to exploit that weakness, and now it's gonna be time to do it though. Bingus, they're at 92%. They don't have to worry too much. The 9 fields placed off of the objective. Lemon, there's that High Noon, looking for someone to peek their head out, and then the only one ends up in a minefield. That's okay. Still get the elimination, and hopefully the plate flips over because Bingus, they're at the overtime right now. They can close this one out right here, take it back all the way from the brink, which will be great for them. However, Outlawed Barons, they just have the eliminations. They have that control, and with these late picks, Bingus, they're not going to get a full fight.
It's a bit of a tough spot for the Barons, though. They only have Valkyrie up. They're closer to EMP. They just need to play this and play advantageously here, and they will. There will be a touch from the Tracer, but that may put them back here for Bingus.
If you don't have a recall cooldown, there's not too many other people to really touch in. But Lucio's getting hard focused. There's not resources for Bingus to close this out. That's the difficult part. Bingus, they've lost their Sombra. You don't got an EMP. You're hacked up yourselves. Outlawed Barons, they took their time with taking control of this point, but they will claim the ruins to be theirs on this time and put themselves one step closer to winning the mid-season tournament.
Yeah, the Barons know their strategy. They know if we win the first couple fights, if we get the early advantage, we can work on this and we can make this go. And that was what they did. They were just like in map 1. They took the early advantage, held, bought it all the way as much as they could to 99, stalled it out, and then just said, look, let's just win the one fight, and that's all we need to do. It's much easier to win 2 fights than it is to win 3, 4, 5 and trade back and forth. But now on Lighthouse, I don't think that's going to work as well here. You can run this comp, it's a bit more pokey, but if Bingus is going to continue to run similar ball comps, it might work. I mean, again, we've been kind of shot him all day, but Lemon really the difference maker among a lot of this, especially in the end. They just have to keep Lemon occupied. Otherwise, he's just going to continue to get those shots. And that's been the story for the Barons, is just working and making sure Lemon can do that. Bingus on the other side is going to swap into a Diva. A little bit more defensive and passive playing out of this. I do like it. Splice over on the Sojourn 2 gives them a little bit more of a long range to kind of play and focus out, and a little bit more space control. And I think that works in Bingus's favor. They win on map control and space control. They just need to play to that strength.
It's a major change in playstyle, but you're probably right. It's exactly what they needed to do after that last map. Outlawed Barons, they're thriving on the chaos. Bingus, all they want to do is control that. And that's what you can do. You can do that with the Diva. You can do that with the Sojourn. If you can stay on the map, of course that is. Bingus, they're going to have the option to get themselves on the objective and get that first capture off basically for free. Kip didn't come back in and touch, and Outlawed Barons, they're just going to be the ones in the poke battle.
Yeah, again, this is what I was afraid of, though, because the Barons needed to get initial point to win, and that's what's worked in their favor. They don't have it now, so now they're playing from behind, and they've kind of struggled from these moments.
This has been their major weakness, and the fact that Bingus made this change is really, really big for them. Because now, all the Wrecking Ball can do is Sombra. You just sit outside the point, wait for something to happen, or Lemon just to hit those shots. And there you go. You get the Cassidy in, Cassidy point, you shoot, you click, and there you go. You got some eliminations on the board. Outlawed, they got themselves in, but they lost a lot of time because of it.
It's 30%. It's a little bit negligible, but the thing that, again, has worked in their favor, Lemon has been kind of this star DPS player that they just need to continue to enable. And the one thing that this comp does work for is does allow Lemon to just kind of sit outside, wait for the chaos to be made, and then pick off while they're not looking for him. He'll have Deadeye with the EMP and mines, so a wealth of ultimates here in this last fight.
Starting out with the minefield. And all the just deny the high grounds. I mean, that's about what you expect from that ultimate to begin with. Hoping you can isolate somebody, but the thing is, they're playing so tightly together that they can easily just burn down Kip when they try to go in. Oh,
Shadow.
I We didn't see that. Nothing happened. It's okay. You know,
Deadeye?
I can laugh about that all I want, but hey, we actually get a successful Deadeye from Lemon. I'm seeing new things today. It's great to see. Lemon eventually will go down though because Splice is sitting in Kitsune Rush and hitting the shots as best as they can, but can't really get themselves on the point because Lemon, they've been resurrected. They want to turn this one all the way around. There's two going down just to the Cassidy and Bingus. They had an opportunity, but they just lost it right away.
I mean, they had the they had the advantage. They had the 4v5, but again, the problem I think here is just target focusing. Lemon just continues to get value, and as long as Lemon's in the fight, they will protect, and it is protect the president. We are protecting this man. He is getting his value. We will do that. Bingus now has 3 ultimates up on both sides. There's 3 up on both sides, so both those support ultimates could be the difference maker for Baron. They just need to find value with Kitsune.
They're not gonna find the value with Lemon. So the Kitsune is gonna be the way to go, and you don't have one of your polar ultimates, so Splice putting this down. The Bingus, if they can just take this right now, Outlawed, they're willing to give it up, just get it a bit of extra percentage because they're in a good position to retake.
Yeah, it is at 73. It's not quite closing out point, but it is at a point where they can win it back. Sound barrier is the only thing standing between them and the rest of their point percentage, and then they can play aggressively and try to win this out. I know what we're getting into here. You'll see it out of the corner of your eye if you look through. Oh no, we didn't get it. Oh, okay. I was hoping we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it later. But you can see that we'll talk about that later because there's an important fight going on that the Barons need to flip this back for.
Everything, it's in their favor. The numbers, they got the numbers game. They just got to execute. There's the EMP landing onto 3. Sound barrier there to counter it out, keep everybody up. Nullifying the ultimate, but Kitsune Rush for the resurgence. They lose Arthur. It's looking good for Bingus. Want to end up closing it out. You just got the resurrections coming in. Minefield down, very, very powerful on a point such as this one. And Lemon's just going to continue to follow it up with those shots and the Deadeye. Point will be flipped back over, but with a heavy investment, Bingus, they're in a rough spot to take it back.
They have self-destruct, so it'll clear point. They are, I mean, it is kind of match point right here. So given all of that, like Akari does have the aggressive Diva ult going into it. Kitsune Rush does favor Atomic Man. It's gonna really come down to who plays and gets the aggressive first pick here.
It was almost on a King Kip, but they were able to roll away. So it's last fight back point here for the Barons. If they can close this fight out, they got themselves at the mid-season tournament champion title. To be a great thing to have for them, but it's not looking to be the case just yet because Splice comes in with 2, Scorpion with another one. To open it up, we're at 99. If this one is able to flip over, Bingus, you just got the soldier on the high ground. Everyone else goes to points. Scorpion, come on, buddy. It's like he knows that we're watching right now.
Look, we were talking about how enabling DPS was important. You know what's really easy way to enable a DPS to just fire freeform? Just don't put them in the fight. Just let them sit back on a Soldier or a Widow and just don't let them have to fight. And that makes total sense that on that swap, Scorpio comes out on top. With credit to the EMP as well, because that helped out a lot. All right, so now, of course, because it's map 5 end game, and you know it's sub map 3 now, every single thing on the line.
So let's give it to them.
You know, King Kip is making the swap over to the Orisa. I don't hate it. I mean, you've kind of gotten focused out as Ball really hard, and I don't disagree with it. Akari is going to keep the rest of that. They're going to keep the Diva. We're gonna have to keep an eye. Orisa just has more raw staying power on point, so it tells me Outlawed Barons are counting on this first fight win.
They really have to. If you get hold up on this choke on a point such as well, then you're not in a good spot. It's first one capture so important here. You just have to put something together because the Orisa is taking so much damage and you're getting amped because of those hacks coming out. You got the power boots on a Scorpy. This is just an enable the DPS type of composition. It's Lemon versus Scorpy in all reality. But Barons, they're the ones that have more power on the objective just having that Orisa. And that's a great thing for them to do. They can lock it down and get that first cap. After Akari gets demaxed and Shadow will fall. This isn't over just yet, as it is a 1-1 trade. Not having a tank means Bingus will have more room to work, just not the health to sustain this one out. They're really not in the safe until his eliminations will eventually start to go.
They will come the way of the Barons, and the other thing that is going their way is just the ultimate economy in some regards. Avocado is up in the Kitsune, is up in the Kitsune, and Arthro is up in the EMP. I say that we've one competitor left the EMP fight, so that helps their way. I mean, Scorpy has gotten incredible value with that. Oh, that's a pick. Does he get it? No, it does not.
See, if you lost the translocator, you have to get the elimination at this point because Arthur, you're really no. Okay. You do get to get it. All right, that's fine.
All right, free. All right, that's just Sombra things, I guess.
Yeah, it's Sombra do for Sombra things.
I mean, Scorpy here has attack visor. They just need to get high ground and positioning, and they are in a good spot. I don't expect much to really get in the way. The EMP is there, but they'll find the Sombra out, I think.
Yeah, Arthur able to have that one online. The thing is, they got the attack visor. They can combo that over that Slayer. That does some great things from what we've seen in the past. You just gotta keep your players alive and have a chance to do it. Lemon's trying to take that opportunity away with the Deadeye. Akari peeking that. Okay, nope. All right, that's 7 seconds lost, 7% gained, and not too much really exchanged. Now it's gonna be the resurgence though. That Kitsune rush onto the objective and the self-destruct to clear the space. Neither of which are going to come up with too much. Outlawed Bears, they're still in control of this point with the Kitsune rush to rush back in. Losing King Kip, though, is going to define this fight. Whole tower crumbles down. Bingus, they got a shot at this.
No. I don't know about that, Tiny. They do have the chance to make this, but this is exactly what the Barons want, right? This is what happens in the first fight. They have most of the percentage. They're basically a fight win away. Now they sit back and build ultimates. They have 2 up already, and this is exactly the script that I'm leaking the script here. This is exactly what they want. So I'm really looking at Bingus now, because if they've been paying attention, and they've been tracking ultimates well, so I hope they're watching the script well. Splice does have this rails. They need to make sure that they find Arthro first. That's going to be really important, because that is the linchpin to keeping this alive.
Arthur don't want to give him that chance. You have the EMP, and the point actually ends up getting flipped just off the back of this, and Splice goes down with the overclock. Outlawed Barons, this flip is going to be great for them. The resurrection is there. We're back on an even playing field. But Akari going down changes it right back. These eliminations, they're being traded just both ways. They're going to continue to come through the resurrections, but what's important here is the objective, 98-99. We are hitting that overtime. Scorpy, everything's got to come out here from Bingus just to keep themselves alive in the fight. And like you said, this is what the Outlawed Barons wanted. They just need to get all of the resources out so they can come back and win a fight of their own once this one closes out. Oh,
Surge
though.
Comes in.
That's not going to get too much. This is a really staggered out point. I mean, Outlawed, they don't really want to reset this here, even though they're down. Granted, they have the control of the point. It does result in them feeding ult charge to the ones they just brought out.
Ooh, they were all in on that, Tiny. They were all in. They were willing to commit that. Arthur moving off the Sombra now, and Akari back on the Doomfist. That's a comfort pick for Bingus. So they have a lot to go here. Lemon does have Deadeye, but again, it's been kind of, now there's no Sombra in the way, so now this can actually possibly get some value. It's still, I think this is probably going to go for Bingus's way for a little bit. It's just going to come to the Barons to really find value with or hold on to everything for the last fight.
We need to see that discipline come out, because Akari and Splice can easily just punish for things like that. And that's not a pick that you can really get in a resurrection on either. You gotta do so much just to even get there, and now your Mercy's in a vulnerable position for the Doofus. Let's follow up with
huge!
Huge smash down. Got the Gooba Stomp, and Bingus, they're just close to closing this one out.
So they did commit Valkyrie for the Barons. That was probably not the great, but I assume maybe they'll go to the Lucio. I think that might be the play here. I mean, this looks like Bingus has this in the ropes here. They do have the Kitsune Rush and the people to take advantage of it, so I expect this. Lemon needs to come up huge on this Deadeye, otherwise it's looking for match point.
It's gotta be the biggest Deadeye that we have seen this entire season. It just simply has to be. There's no other choice right now, and it almost was if it wasn't for an amazing Suzu to counter it out. Splice with the overclock, taking down the King of Fire. There's no resurrection available for that one, but the other one will come through. 5 on the fight. Bingus, they want to do it. They're very, very close to closing it out, but the kills, they're being traded right back. These teams, they know it's overtime. It's do or die right now. The tanks on the point while Scorpy is trying to battle it out through a Kitsune Rush that is just down. They don't have the same mobility. They don't have the same stay power, so Akari just full sends it right in, picking one off by another, and the point
he stepped off!
will be forgotten by the Barons, Soev. They forgot the point, and this is how it's going to end. Bingus is going to take the series off of the back of a fight that just could have gone so much longer.
No way. I'm checking the feed because that's wild. Yeah, they stepped off. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's a tragic C9 that's going to
Wow.
Wow. That is so unfortunate.
Welcome to Diamond Overwatch.
Yeah, wow, that is the most Diamond Overwatch thing we've seen here. From all of these moments. Like the most heartbreaking of all that was Tac Visor was online. That would have game changed right there. And I mean, just these moments we're catching right now across the board, like this is Scorby's Tac Visor from a previous round. Look at how much value it's gotten in previous rounds. That could have been it, and we'll never know, unfortunately. Just the team, both of these teams getting to the finals showed exactly why they needed to be here, though, because while neither team really looked like a dominant force, there were moments where you could see some gears just turned a little bit better, and some teams were better enabled between Scorpion and Lemon. And then even in the backlines, you could see Splice and Arthro just doing so much work on the Sombra. Even though they ended up dying a lot to their own EMPs, it was the real value. Like, there was so much teamwork that was coming in through both of those DPS players that really did so much. Incredible talent on both sides that unfortunately just well-deserved victory here.
It really was. This was such a great match to have, and hey, it's the grand finals here. I don't expect too much less of it to come through. And granted, this is only the mid-season spot. This isn't even like the grand of the grand finals. Like this is still pretty low-key compared to what actually is going to come at the end of the season. But either way, Bingus, they're gonna take home some of these extra points, which moving forwards, you're gonna get into the playoffs and be in a great spot just in that position alone. And that's where all the glory truly is. They won the match today, but there's a reason. These two are the best two teams. That's just how we had to end it. Okay, I'm so glad that was the last one of the replay. I am
we managed to get it. Yeah. Look, we all make mistakes. Far be it from us, but I do think you are right because, like you said, the points here are really, really important going into the later parts. But I do think that if I had to take a guess, if I had to take a guess, we'd probably see these teams again somewhere down the line. Either maybe not. I can't prove finals, but I would say like somewhere in playoffs we're seeing these teams play again, and it is going to be a match that you can't miss. Like even if you have to just check in and catch it off screen, I think you should check in on this because this was like such a close match in this all five that down the line seeing these teams evolve will be monstrous. I think if you're in the Diamond division, you have a lot of just watching tape to do to get to understand both of these teams.
Better be watching today because this was something to keep an eye on. And both of these teams moving down the line, I fully expect them to make it to the postseason and hopefully even the grand finals if that is going to be the case. But that's something we are going to have to wait and see because we still got a lot of the regular CGL season remaining before we even get to that point. So that is going to be the end of our broadcast here today. That, however, is not the end for CGL. We have more matches coming up in the next couple weeks, so make sure that you are following the CGL Twitch channel to stay updated on all the broadcasts that we do. Keep up with your favorite teams. And that is going to be all that we have today. So, it was a pleasure to cast with you once again. It has been Tiny Shiny and so I have to bring you the Diamond Console Finals. And we will see you guys on the flip side.
Also, shout out to Hippie.